every time the pressure rises, we play better. Let's go take down the trail.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
Good morning, and welcome to Westchester, Ohio, and the Voice of America Park for the 2015 U.S. Open. This is Ultiworld's live coverage here at the U.S. Open, and we're very excited to bring you an excellent matchup here to start day 2 of the tournament. It's Raleigh Ring of Fire taking on Washington, D.C. Truck Stop. I'm Charlie Eisenhood alongside Pat Stegemeller, and can't wait to bring you this game and 4 games today. Closing out our live streaming coverage, we'll also have tape delay coverage of 2 semifinals tomorrow. And Pat, we've got a really interesting matchup here. Truck Stop, a team coming into the season with a lot of buzz, and Ring of Fire, a team coming off of 2 semifinals appearances at Nationals in the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a new kids on the block situation right now. Ring, established team, a lot of history there, and a lot of recent success in the past few years, versus Truck Stop, who is one of the trendier picks to maybe reach semis at Nationals. I think when you look at Truck Stop, they've been a team that's been on the rise the past few years. Last year, picking up Peter Pryal, they made it to quarterfinals, gave Johnny Bravo a great game, and then with their big acquisitions this offseason, Castine, Spiva, Wiggins, a lot of people are looking at them to be someone that crashes into that top 4.
And we're getting ready to start this game as Ring of Fire in black pulls to Truck Stop in white. It's Justin Allen with the forehand pull, but we have an offsides call that's going to bring this back right away. A little bit breezier this morning. Yesterday, not much wind to speak of until later in the afternoon, but maybe 7 to 10 mile per hour winds right now, light gusts. Certainly a little bit, I would say just enough to affect throws. Not to a significant degree, but yesterday morning we had almost completely still conditions for our opening round matchup between San Francisco Revolver and Boston Ironside.
These throwers are definitely capable enough to deal with this wind, but it does mean that there's just a much smaller margin for error. Their throws are going to have to really be on point if they're going to be doing anything fancy.
So Justin Allen gets a re-pull, and again throws the forehand pull. A little bit of an unusual look. Most people throw a backhand, but Allen, great power behind that forehand as Truck Stop's offense gets to work. Peter Pryal here on the near sideline with Alec Kollick, one of the better handlers in the division, in the backfield, along with Seth Wiggins, one of this team's pickups. We'll talk more about the additions to this team as we get a little further into the game. Pryal up the line into the hands of Cody Johnston. And Cody Johnston finds Kollick at the front cone, and Truck Stop's on the board with a smooth score. It's 1-0.
You said it, Charlie. Smooth is exactly the adjective I was going to go with. Nice and easy, didn't try to do anything too hard. They were able to work it over to the break side, created a lot of space, and then just kind of flowed down into the end zone. It's interesting that we're seeing Wiggins line up as an O-line handler here for Truck. He's such a versatile player. He can do almost anything. People might remember at 2012 Nationals, he had played with a broken hand for Rhino and was exclusively a downfield cutter. Now he's coming out here as an O-line handler. Really shows how well he's mastered almost every art of the game.
And Truck has really upgraded at a few positions. They picked up Nate Castine from Sockeye, a defensive specialist, who's going to give them some extra punch. He didn't play yesterday, wasn't here, but has flown in overnight and will suit up today for Truck Stop. And of course, the other big pickup for this team, Nicky Spiva, who's coming over from Chain Lightning in Atlanta, and he will also add some offensive firepower to this team.
And I think that Castine pickup is really huge for them. Last year, their D-line did a good job of getting Ds, but had a very poor conversion rate, especially in their quarterfinal exit at Nationals against Bravo. So we'll see if Castine can help them organize that D-line offense after return.
John Nethercutt, 2015 Callahan Award winner, receives the centering pass for Ring of Fire. Nethercutt has been an established player at the club division now for a couple years as we watch him put up a forehand, looking deep for Mark Lynn, but too far. So a turnover for Nethercutt, and Truck Stop will have their first shot at a break.
And I think Nethercutt maybe put a little bit too much on that one going downwind. Just pushed it a little bit out of his receiver's range.
Calvin Ong brings it to the line. Now it's going to be a floating disc, but it tips into the hands of Matt Gordon. But then a turnover on the sideline as that throw too far out in front of Markham Schaffner. So Ring back with it. Here's Lynn. Nice grab on the sideline from Ben Dieter. Dennis Tracy holding. Tracy, one of the captains of this Ring team. A little bit of standing in the stack right now, but handlers working it backwards for the resets. Now taking a shot deep. Lynn has some steps, and instead, it will be Tracy running it down for the Ring score.
You saw it there. Truck Stop able to get a chance at a break, unable to convert. It's not a great offense. Put up their initial throw, probably should have been a turnover. They got the rebound and then immediately turned it again. Ring takes their second opportunity at it. You saw they switched into a vert stack there, and it seemed as though their offense slowed down a little bit when they did, but a very nice throw over the top, able to find Tracy, and we're at 1-1. Now we'll get another look here at Truck Stop's O-line. Like you mentioned, Charlie, Alan Kolick, one of the better handlers in the game, and someone who's really come onto the scene recently. I don't think a lot of people knew his name before maybe 2 years ago, and now with experience on the beach national team, he's really getting his name out there.
Allen out there on the defensive line again for Ring, getting set to pull. Few players missing this weekend for Ring. They had some reinforcements come in overnight after having only 14 here yesterday. But they're still missing a good chunk of players, including Joey Cretella, Micah Hood, Tim McAllister, Taylor Pope, among others. Kolick brings it to the brick mark for Truck Stop as their offense gets back to work. Pryle out on the far side, steps into a big backhand going up the line. He's got an easy score to Spiva. And Truck, again, looking very sharp on offense.
And you're going to see a lot of that initiating action to Peter Pryle today. Formerly a Boston Ironside player, he's moved down to DC last year. It was a big part of why Truck Stop is having so much success lately. He's able to get the disc and immediately put up a nice shot down the break side to a streaking Spiva. We'll see if Ring adjusts and starts to try to take away any of Pryle's initiating action.
And I think you can see there, I mean, it's obviously early in the game, but the glimpses of what this team can do offensively just score on you so fast. They have so many weapons. And this was already a good offense last year. Truck Stop, not a team that you really considered in the top tier heading into last season, but they were quietly very good at Nationals and gave Johnny Bravo, the eventual champions, probably their best game of the tournament in the quarterfinals. And although they came up short, it was already looking like they were on the upswing coming into this year, and then with the pickups that they got, they're now looking extra sharp as we have another offsides call. So each team now with a warning, and any future offsides will be penalized with a yardage penalty.
And I know that a lot of the truck stop guys think that they really should have won that game against Bravo last year, almost as crazy as that sounds. They only were 1 for 8 on their break opportunities, and if they could have even converted 50%, they'd maybe come away with that game, and we're looking at an entirely different story. They played Bravo yesterday and had a 12-10 lead before surrendering a 4-point run that cost them the game. So Bravo might be a little bit of a bugaboo for them, but we'll see what they can do here against Ring.
Huge huck down the field, but a misread down at the other end from Noah Saul. And so Truck will take over. So back-to-back turnovers on offensive points for Ring.
Ring showing that they're clearly going to be aggressive today, especially going downwind. It's their 3rd shot they've put into that end zone.
Truck swings out to the sideline. Now looking deep. Got a streaking cutter. Eric Salmi down there, and he's got it just outside the end zone, and he's going to have an easy throw into the end zone for the truck stop break.
And there we go. That's the break Truck was looking for. Some nice action there. Get that huck coming out of motion, which is what you want. They're able to swing it to the sideline, get into some power position, and put a nice shot to an open target.
Bradley Scott with the score for DC.
And we'll see how Ring responds here. They've been very aggressive in the early going. We'll see if they keep that up or if they try to get a little more conservative, play a little more possession-based. They haven't really made Truck Stop's defense do anything all that spectacular. They've both of the turnovers, they've just sort of given them the disc. So we'll see if they can try to make Truck's D earn a D this time.
And if you're watching on YouTube, consider heading over to ultiworld.com/live, where you can follow along with not only the live stream, but also score updates from Twitter around all of the divisions here at the US Open. Today is the final day of pool play. The top 2 seeds from each pool will advance straight to the semifinals. So this is a big game for both of these teams, especially Ring yesterday with the loss to Pony, now in a position where they really need to win this game if they want to have a chance to get through to the semifinals.
Absolutely. If they want any shot of getting to that bracket, they have to win this game.
Another cut. Operating out of the center, looking for the reset, and he'll go out to the sideline for Lynn. Lynn already looking like a nice pickup for them. Disc goes to the sideline for Brian Casey. Casey looking deep, but another overthrow from Ring of Fire. So just not quite on the same page. The cuts are there, but the throws have not been at the beginning of this game.
They're getting the receivers into space. They're just missing on those throws. That might be some early season rust here from Ring, but we'll see if they can clean that up going forwards this game.
Ong on the sideline misses the initial target, but Scott is there to clean it up. And there's Nate Castine dishing to Eric Miner. Ong comes to the backfield for the reset. Now, can't find anybody downfield. It's tipped, but then caught by Miner.
Close call there for Truck. They've got to have better dump schemes if they're going to punch this break in.
David Cranston gets his first touch on the outside. And his throw off the mark and knocked away by Allen.
The Ring defenders there are doing a great job of just stuffing that truck stop dump scheme.
And a high release backhand looking for Allen, and a great defensive effort from Ong. And he may have been a little shaken up on the play as he's on the ground.
Ring clearly in the mentality that they're going to shoot all day long. Justin Allen, a young star on this team, someone who, you know, you'd like to find that matchup downfield, but I don't love that look. He didn't have a lot of steps. We've seen some of their turnovers already this game where their receiver is open, has plenty of steps, and the throw is just a little bit off. In that case, I don't even think Allen was that open when it went up.
Not clear exactly what happened, but Ong is still down. May have just been an awkward jump, and you hope that it's not a leg injury, and maybe he just came down wrong on his arm. Trainers out onto the field to take a look.
So in this situation, Charlie, I think if you're Ring, you want to use this stoppage here as a chance to kind of collect yourselves and talk about what you want to do. On offense, it just hasn't really been clicking for them so far. I've seen a lot of turnovers on those deep looks. I think they kind of got to get on the same page about that. If their game plan is that they want to huck, that's fine. That's something that they do a lot, but they're going to have to really get, you know, on the same page when those hucks need to go up, what matchups they want to exploit, and what kind of motion they need to do to create those opportunities. Like you said, the cuts have been there. They've run some hoe stack, they've run some side stack. But those throwers just really need to make the right choices. Looks like the truck player is still down. Unclear. Oh.
And he's on his feet and walking under his own power, but still looks pretty shaken up.
May have been a head injury.
Yeah,
slammed the back of his head when he hit the ground.
He's moving his neck gingerly there. And you always worry about concussion. I'm sure that they'll run him through various concussion protocols and tests. But for now, he will head to the sideline. He's definitely had his bell rung there, but back to play here as Truck Stop again takes over with the D-line, looking for their second break of the game. Salmi to the sideline for Scott. Scott dishes it back to Castine. Cody Johnston up the line to Salmi. Strike cut not there. Salmi now needs to reset it. It's getting clogged, and he'll have to go cross field, but a nice throw to Scott. And now there's a call.
Some confusion from the Truck Stop vert stack there. Once they got the disc down near their end zone, they had 2 or 3 players all cutting at once towards the same spot. That's not the kind of discipline you need in the end zone.
Scott to the outside for Minor. Castine. Short backhand over to Johnston. Working in the red zone. And now they go to the front cone, not quite into the end zone. Cranston on the goal line. A lot of clogging, and now he'll throw a short blade over the top of a poaching defender. It was Nethercutt coming up to almost set a double team, and he got beat as the throw went over the top and into the hands of Eric Minor, and Truck takes a 3-point lead.
That's another break here for Truck Stop. Ring looking a little bit shaken. Come out early in the morning. They just didn't have the energy, the intensity, and the focus to match Truck Stop right now. It looks like they're taking a timeout to talk things over. If you're Truck, you really got to like that possession there from their D-line offense. They were able to create so much space on the far side. The Cutters did a really good job of not clogging until that little bit of trouble near the end zone. But they were able to work it up the far side in a few throws, partially because their handlers did such a good job of keeping the disc moving. You don't want to see people staring down the pipe for too long in that sort of vert stack setup, because if it looks not there initially, it's not going to materialize. You want quick cuts, you want quick movement to really exploit those open spaces. And if Truck's D-line can keep up that efficiency over the rest of the year, then it could be in store for a good finish.
You're watching Ultiworld's live coverage of the 2015 U.S. Open, live from Westchester, Ohio. If you're enjoying our coverage this weekend, please consider subscribing to one of our club video packages. You can get access to these games as an archive and all of the games that we filmed during the Triple Crown Tour 2015 club season. It's a great deal. Check that out at ultiworld.com/subscribe. You can also put a small donation in our tip jar, which you can find at ultiworld.com/live. Coming out of the timeout here. Truck stop looking in control here early. But I think it's worth noting that although Ring has struggled a bit with turnovers, the fundamentals of their cutting and their offense really do look okay. The resets have been there for the most part. Most of their turnovers have come on throws to cutters who are at least going to the right place or are open, but the throws just haven't been on the mark. So
absolutely, and that's something that comes from a team with so much continuity. Rings bring back basically every key player from their run to semis at Nationals last year. So they're going to be on the same page as far as what their offense wants to do, where the cuts are going to set up from. It's really just that their throwers need to get their legs under them and start hitting on these looks.
will be Noah Saul checking the disc in at the brick mark. He dishes to Casey, who gets it to Nethercutt, and back to the sideline for Saul. And a pick call is going to bring this back. That was Jared Bowen coming out of the stack, but
Truck Stop was switching at the back of that stack, cutting off a lot of the looks on the force side. Ring of Fire did a good job recognizing that and finding that space on the break side to move the disc down the field.
Teresi dishes back to Nethercutt. Handlers working it back and forth. Cutters struggling to find space at the moment. And Ring into the end zone. So a nice, clean offensive possession there for Raleigh.
And that's how you want to come out of a timeout. Collected, everybody doing their job. Truck threw a little bit of a wrinkle at them with the way they were switching off the back of the stack, but it wasn't a problem for Ring's handlers. They easily identified it. And once they got down to the end zone, they made confident movements, moved the disc to the break side, and gave Nethercutt the chance to make a cheeky little throw into the end zone for the score. Now we're going to see if Ring's D-line is able to get the job done. Ring's D-line has sort of been the heart of this team for a while, and now that they're back on the field, I'm sure that they're going to have a lot of energy here, looking to get some of those breaks back.
You mentioned energy. This is probably the most, what you might call, energy team in all of Club Ultimate. They thrive on creating energy through their defense, getting a fiery sideline. For those who were in attendance or were watching last year at Club Nationals, this team had a very unusual way of generating energy. They were booing themselves and getting the crowd to boo them loudly and heavily during their semifinals game. And they just about came back and beat Boston Ironside in that game.
I believe the kids call that negging these days.
Here's Colic for Truck. Tyler Monroe swings it over to Marshall.
Looks like a forced middle look here from Ring.
Marshall out to Jeff Wodach. Wodach, long key cutter for this team, and he gets it ahead to Tom Doy. Seth Wiggins. And foul called. Uncontested on the mark. J.D. Hastings covering Wiggins here. Wiggins looking for the reset to Colick and finds it. Pryle, far side, steps into the break backhand looking for Colick, and Colick's got it. Nice job by Colick to go up early and bring that down in between two Ring defenders. And again, Truck Stop's offense looking good. They have not turned it over yet, as they have 3 straight holds.
And that was a really great throw from Colick there. That flick break that moved the disc right to the cone. He caught it on the little dish behind, and he's so fundamentally sound. His whole body was set and able to deliver a perfect break throw, even though he was on the move. That's exactly what you want from a handler who's got some squirrely action like him, but is still able to keep his fundamental sound even on the, well, in action. And I think, Charlie, we talked about how Ring really feeds off energy off that D-line. Truck Stop's O-line is doing such a good job because they're not even letting Ring get the chance to make those bids that ignite some of those runs and some of the passion in the Ring team. Really crisp offense, really precise. Other than that last throw that Colick had to make a little bit of a spectacular catch on, there wasn't too much that Ring ever had a chance of getting on that point.
Eric Salmi getting set to pull. And this pull will trail out of bounds. Nethercutt bringing it to the brick mark. Nethercutt in a familiar role. Run the offense and touch the disc a lot. That's exactly what he did for UNC. Led them to a championship at the end of May. Big huck here, and it's knocked away. Great defense downfield from Truck Stop.
It's an example there of them taking a shot at a receiver who was already too deep.
And now Delrico Johnson going 1-on-2. He goes up, but just a little too early. Johnson has a penchant for making some huge plays. Almost had one there, but tough throw into double coverage, forcing him to try to make a play a little earlier than he might have liked. Bowen dishes it off to Casey. Sideline for Dieter.
Looked like there was a little bit of confusion there in the Truck defense, not knowing who to pick up off that turnover. Gave Ring some free, easy yards.
And a nice shot up the sideline from Nethercutt. So another assist for him as Ring gets the hold. Truck with a pretty good chance there, but Ring keeping it tight here, back within 2.
If your D-line wants to be aggressive, that's the kind of shot you want to take. Delrico Johnson, a really great receiver downfield. Decent matchup for him, just wasn't quite able to come down with it, but more often than not, he's going to be able to make plays. So if their maxim right now is to be aggressive on defense, then that's a pretty good shot to take. Here we've got Ring's D-line again coming out. Haven't seen any really spectacular plays from them yet, but you know they're capable of it. Justin Allen, Hunter Taylor, 2 of the best young defenders in the game. Taylor made the U23 Open squad. A little bit of an unknown player beforehand coming out of Virginia Tech, but he's making a name for himself now, and we're seeing a lot more of him this summer.
The U23 championships right around the corner. Lots of top quality players at this tournament who will be at that tournament in London. Ultiworld will have on-the-ground reporting from London throughout the week of U23 Worlds. Spiva picking up here for truck stop. He'll check it in with no mark, but Allen quickly gets there. Spiva, basically an uncontested flick down the field, and he's got it to Wodach, and Wodach is into the end zone for the score. So a one-throw, easy score there for truck stop, and they're really making it look easy. Ring's defense struggling mightily here in the first half.
Spiva bringing a little southern hospitality up to DC. The import from Atlanta with his first season here from Truck. He's been cutting in the beginning of the game, but they had him pick up the disc after the out-of-bounds pull. Clearly, he wanted to do one thing, and that was shoot it deep. Bring some chain lightning sensibilities here to this DC truck stop O-line.
And he was able to basically throw that with almost no mark. Allen showed up late after he checked in the disc and never had any ability to contest that throw on the open side.
And with a player like Spiva, who you know is going to be looking to shoot it deep, you really, really are going to want to have that hard mark on him, make him think about it. If you let him have easy throws like that, then you're just asking for trouble.
So truck stop looking sharp here, Pat. I think there were questions about how well they would play at the beginning of the year, given that they have a lot of roster changes and you've got to find that chemistry and where people fit in. But so far, so good. Obviously, they had the disappointing breakdown at the end of the game against Johnny Bravo yesterday, a game that they were leading, but then gave up 3 straight breaks to lose.
Based on how they've come out of this game so far, it seems that their little meltdown against Bravo yesterday might be more of an exception than it is the rule.
Tracy's swinging to Nethercutt. It's going to float up too high, though, and it's going to be knocked away. Not a good throw there, and good defense there from Ben Feng. Truck stop running quickly, taking advantage.
Ring having trouble picking up here off the turn.
And as Sean Childers comes underneath to make that catch, he calls foul as he got bumped by Nethercutt.
Can't tell, did he drop that, or was it a foul on a throw on an immediate dish?
No, I think as he was trying to make the catch, the foul he called as he was going to make the clap catch. But the foul call is upheld by the observer, so it will stay with Childers. Another stoppage here. Foul call on the mark here.
Ring really needs to bear down and get this D. 7-4 this early in the game would be trouble.
And another stoppage here.
7-3, excuse me.
I believe Childers called for the travel, and he definitely dragged his pivot. So it's high stall situation here, and Childers turns it over.
Well, that was just the break that Ring needed. That is definitely a gift.
Nethercutt zips a backhand out to the far side for Dieter. Mark Lynn with a nice find. Bowen on the sideline now with Saul. Saul floats one over to Lynn. Lynn taking a shot to the end zone, and a perfect throw from Mark Lynn. He finds Teresi, and Ring of Fire avoids going down by 4 and gets the hold, stay within 2.
Great vision there from Lynn on that point. You saw as they were working it up the fields, he was able to find that nice blade over the top to gain a lot of yards, and then in the end zone, another blade into, for the score. Sometimes when you're trapped on the cone in the end zone like that, it's hard to see the whole field because of all the bodies in your way, but he's clearly able to pick out a wide open receiver for a crucial Ring hold.
Well, Ring's defense is going to have to start to find some fire.
No pun intended, of course.
I really didn't intend the pun, but they've just been flat to start the game. And that was, you know, if anything's going to get you focused, it's giving up a one-throw score like they did on their last point.
Exactly. If you're Ring, you want to make these possessions drag out, give your D as many chances as possible to make some kind of spectacular play. So if they want to come down, maybe throw something that a little bit of a poachy zone that melts into a man, something that's going to slow down truck stop, just give them a little bit of a different look, something else for these truck handlers to think about.
Here's the pull from Allen.
Nice, Justin!
Colick catches the first pass. Goes to the sideline for David Boylan-Colchin. Back to Colick. Spiva sends it deep, looking for Doy, and Doy makes the catch. Great grab, and he's in the end zone, so that's a score. So another very quick score for Truck Stop, and Tom Doy with a nice play. Looked like that might be a defensible throw, but that's Tom Doy's specialty, bringing down those kinds of throws.
And those kinds of throws are a Nicky Spiva specialty. Shooter's going to shoot, Charlie. So far, Spiva is feeling it.
So Truck Stop's offense stays perfect. And after another offensive possession that takes less than 30 seconds, Ring is going to take a timeout.
Big point here for Truck. We'll see if they try to stack this line to get a break for half. Going up 8-4 at half would make this a very, very tough game for Ring to come back from. Think about with Truck Stop here. Their offense has been working so smoothly, scoring in only a few throws on a lot of these points, that they'll have to really be feeling in the groove here. But they want to be careful that they don't start getting cocky and then throw a couple of these away and give Ring more shots to get those breaks back.
Another overcast day here in Westchester. Small suburb of Cincinnati. And we've so far avoided rain, despite lots of rain in the forecast.
I'm sure everyone here is very happy about that. In general, the conditions have been very good. A little cool, but perfect for when you're running around and playing in it. Not too windy. Only every tournament could be like this. Certainly not these same conditions at the end of college nationals from this year, I'll tell you that. Here comes Truck. Running their standard D-line out here.
Saul to Dieter. Up ahead to Allen. Crossing over onto offense this point. Another cut, and Saul in the backfield. Mark Lynn catches the under, and a pick call at the back of the stack. Hold things up for a moment. No mark yet for Lynn.
Truck Stop doing a good job with some of their big handler covers, sagging off and taking away those throwing lanes. Seems as though they're betting that their length is going to be more of an asset here than speed in taking away give and goes.
Saul looking to the front cone, and he finds Dieter. And Ring gets a smooth hold. But it's really not a question about Ring's offense right now. Some early bumps have largely been overcome, and they're gonna really have to ask their defense to step up here as we head towards the second half.
I think that they just need to try something out here. Ring is a team known for their man-to-man defense. It's part of their identity, but right now it's not working. And I think they need to do something that will allow those man-to-man intensities, that ability to make the spectacular physical play to come out by slowing down Truck, making them stop, making them take a lot of throws. The more throws Truck has to make, the more chances Ring gets to make a play. So if I were Ring's head tactician here, I would have them come down in some sort of a sag just to slow things down for Truck.
Ring head coach Mike DeNardis not here today. As mentioned earlier, they're missing a lot of players. Terrence Mitchell's not here, Ken Porter, Taylor Pope, Micah Hood, Joey Cretella, Tim McAllister, a long list of guys who are out today. And here's the pull from Saul. So last chance for Ring here in the first half to try to put a break on the board and even just force a turnover. See a little different looking offense here for Truck Stop. But still looking effective. Peter Pryle with it. He goes out to the sideline and it's knocked away by John Nethercutt.
The tight window Pryle tried to squeeze that into in between the sideline and Nethercutt. Wasn't quite able to pull it off.
Cody Johnston had steps initially, but the throw hung up a little too much, and Nethercutt was able to make a play and force the first Truck Stop offensive turnover. And a nice second effort grab there. David Richardson. And now a turnover. Looks like Richardson just lost the handle.
It's unfortunate for Ring there. They had a shot at a break. Let's see if they can get that disc back.
Seth Wiggins picks it up, gets it over to Spiva. And all the way out to the far sideline, Tyler Monroe able to toe the line. And I believe now a travel called for the pivot foot being set up out of bounds. So Monroe will adjust a couple of inches and check it back in. Wide swing, looking for Pryle, and he lost it in the wind. And got a little push at the last moment, and Pryle unable to make the play, so turnover on the big swing. And Ring with the second opportunity here.
A little bit of a rushed throw there from Truck Stop. Ring did a good job of sealing them on that sideline. Led to a difficult throw to try to get it off.
Fired out to the sideline for Nethercutt, who steps into the big sweeping backhand. Going to be contested, and it's taken away by Truck Stop. Nice play by Tyler Monroe. Comes underneath the Spiva. Spiva looks deep for a moment, and instead decides to dish it off to Wiggins. Again, Pryle open on that far sideline with a lot of room. Getting respect deep. Now they're going up that far side. Pryle staying on that side and getting it into the end zone for Wodach as Truck Stop takes half, 8-5 over Ring.
Great first half here from Truck. Offense looking almost untouchable. And Ring is going to have to find some answers here in the second half to slow that down.
We'll be back in about 10 minutes for the start of the second half. Halftime score, Washington, D.C. Truck Stop 8, Raleigh Ring of Fire 5. Ultiworld's live coverage of the U.S. Open continues in 10 minutes.
Every time we press the license, we play better. Let's go, keep down the field.
Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
Welcome back to Westchester, Ohio. Coming to the end of halftime here as Washington, D.C. Truck Stop has an 8-5 lead on Raleigh Ring of Fire. And Pat, you know, if we look back at this first half, I think we see the biggest story has got to be Truck Stop's almost unbeatable offense and, you know, at the same time, Raleigh's uncharacteristically weak defense.
I think to start with DC's excellence, one of the things that's really stood out to me is how flexible their O-line has been. Not only with their ability to attack downfield, to work undercuts, to swing the disc, but also that so many players on their line can play almost any position. At the beginning of the game, we had Spiva lining up as a cutter, working downfield. Towards the end of the half, he switched into a handling position. You've got Seth Wiggins, who can play basically anywhere on the field. It's going to be really hard for teams to figure out the best way to shut down this offense.
Second half underway, Truck Stop pulling to Ring. Oh, and a nice grab out on the far side from Dieter. Again, if you're just joining us, it's Ring of Fire in the black with orange and Truck Stop in the white with red and blue. And a short huck to Dieter and a good shot there from Bowen as Ring gets the nice hold to start the second half, and they're back within 2.
Good start to the half for Ring there. They ran a nice little wheel play, had Nethercutt up in the vert stack, had him run in, catch it, and his momentum allowed him to work the break side. Putting the disc to the break side created the space that let that shot go up. So we'll see if they continue to deploy Nethercutt in different ways. In the first half, he was primarily just their center handler, but they're probably going to try to get him the disc in more advantageous positions. Now we've got another look at Ring's D-line, and I think that's really going to be the story of the second half, is what Ring's D-line can do to try to shut down this just really just titanic offense we've seen from DC at this point. Ring played almost exclusively man in the first half. See if they mix it up at all.
Game has overtones of the Revolver Ironside game from yesterday. Revolver almost perfect on offense in the first half as well, but then Ironside started to chip away a little bit. Game got close late, and you can see the same thing happening here. Ironside against Revolver basically ran man defense the entire game, but upped their intensity. So we'll see if Ring tries to do the same or if they want to mix it up with a junk look or something a little bit different. Seth Wiggins catches the pull, gets it to Kolick. Brian Marshall on the outside finds Doy on the under. Wiggins with the nice strike cut. Kolick. Back to John Neely. All the way around, and Tom Doy with the pure drop just maybe jumped a little too much when he was trying to make the catch, and it bounced off of his hands. So Ring will take over with a chance to break here to begin the second half. Justin Allen shooting deep into coverage, and a great grab on the far side from Hunter Taylor, and then they go into the end zone for the score.
Well, we talked about Ring needing to up their intensity, and there it is. Great play from Hunter Taylor. One of a true just physical freak out on the field here. He has some vertical ability that not a lot of players have. And that was good-looking offense there from Truck Stop. Just a really unfortunate drop. They were able to move the disc side to side pretty much at ease. Ring took advantage, though. Allen quickly put that look up, wanted to aggressively attack the end zone, saw the matchup he liked, and it paid off.
Dan Cantor with the score for Truck. Cantor, a former truck stop player. Played for Ring last year and back on the team again this season.
And I'll be surprised if we see anything different from Truck's offense here. A lot of steady veteran presence on that line. I don't think that they'll be easily rattled by that. Again, their offense was looking good. That was just a little bit of a physical error. I expect that they'll shake it off and continue what they were doing before.
I mean, again, they've ceased being perfect, but most of the mistakes, maybe all of the mistakes, have come on just either a decision error or a drop. And certainly Ring had nothing to do with that turnover from Tom Doy.
But it does give them a little bit of energy, gives them a little bit of momentum. We'll see if Ring's D-line continues to ratchet it up.
Yeah, these are the moments that can energize Ring. Here's Pryl. Steps into the backhand. He's got a man, but the disc is hanging. Goes too high, comes back, and he makes a catch on the second effort. Great play by John Agan, who overran it, but then was able to recover just enough to sprawl out and make the catch after the disc floated over both his head and the defenders.
Well, on the last point, we saw some great offense by Truck that resulted in a turnover. On this point, we saw something that was a little bit more questionable offense, but it resulted in a score. Really heads-up play there to come down with that second effort. If you're Ring, you've got to be disappointed. After seeing the disc hang up a little bit like that, you had to think you had a shot at getting that block. It was not to be.
So truck stop defense heads out to the line. Eric Salmi will pull. There is the pull from Salmi. Dieter, far side. Finds Saul. Now Lynn. And a pick call downfield. Stahl will come in at 3. Bobby Gordon on the mark here against Saul. Saul found Bowen, got it back. Now they run a little give and go. And Bowen goes into the end zone, finds Teresi, and Ring gets the hold. And it's back to a 1-point game.
Smooth, easy possession for Ring there. Ring came out of the game very aggressive on O-line. We saw them take a lot of shots right off the bat. Seems as though they've adjusted their game plan. The last few O-points, they've been really trying to work those unders, use some of their physicality and their speed to just get open looks on the force side. That's what we saw from them there.
This Ring of Fire team has often been considered good but not excellent, below the top tier of teams like Revolver, Ironside, Johnny Bravo in the past couple of seasons, Sockeye, these sort of big names in Club Ultimate. And that's not to take away from Ring's long history. They've made as is pointed out in the U.S. Open program, 18 straight nationals appearances. But I think that ignores some actual history here in the last couple of years. Ring is one of just 5 teams that's made 2 of the last 3 semifinals.
It's actually even less than that, Charlie. It's 4 teams. It's Ironside, Bravo, Revolver, and Ring are the only 4 teams to accomplish that in the past 3 years. Double Wide hasn't, Sockeye hasn't. And I agree, they don't necessarily get the credit that they deserve for their sustained excellence.
Last year at Nationals, they went 0-3 in pool play before reaching the semifinals. As we see a shot go up, and this is going to hang up there. Bit of a hospital pass, and it's knocked away. Josh Mullen gets the actual block as he followed the play, and that's often a key. If he hadn't been there, it would have been a score, because Truck Stop had a player following along on the backside as well.
And that's a poor look there from Truck Stop. We talked about this a little bit in the first half, where we'll see if their offense would get carried away with himself as they did there.
Saul attacking deep finds Nethercutt, not quite into the end zone, just on the goal line, and he'll swing all the way across the field. He's got Allen, and Ring's got a score. And that's a tie game here in Westchester, as Ring has taken advantage of a couple of Truck miscues. And you can see a little bit of a regression to the mean for Truck's offense, which was so hot in the first half. A few more turnovers, and Ring has done a good job of taking advantage of the opportunities that they've had.
Well, you called it, Charlie, when you compared this to yesterday's Ironside Revolver game. Ring hasn't changed up much of what they're doing on defense. They're just letting Truck Stop make a few crucial mistakes and then capitalizing on it. They've converted on their break chances here in the second half by being very aggressive. Allen Huck earlier to Taylor. We saw Saul put one deep to Nethercutt there. Right now, Ring is feeling it.
And that Huck from Jeff Wodach that resulted in a turnover, just not a great look. Would have been a tough throw even if it was on the money, as the receiver didn't have many steps, and when it hung up, it allowed almost 4 Ring defenders to get underneath it, making that a very low percentage look.
And sometimes when your offense is on fire, just clicking in the first half, you come out in the second half and you start to try to take looks that you maybe normally wouldn't, but you think, well, things have been working out great so far, so I'm going to try this. And I think Truck just needs to compose themselves a little bit here. The good news for Truck is that Ring's defense really hasn't done anything to stop them. In the second half, their struggles have mostly just been caused by their own turnovers. So I think that they're going to want to talk and tell themselves that the game is still in their control and they just need to execute a little bit better.
So there was a offsides called on the pull against Truck Stop. So because they were the receiving team, they will have to start from a dead disc situation in the middle of their own end zone. This is their second offsides. So a big opportunity here for Ring to press their advantage, as they'll have to begin in their own end zone. But a good shot from Wiggins, but Kolick unable to get there. Just needed to lay out, but he didn't leave his feet. Maybe thought he could run it down, and so it'll be Ring's disc near midfield. And you can hear the Ring sideline getting louder. Here's Taylor. He shoots it deep. He's got a man, and Ring's got a score. Shane Sisco reels it in for Raleigh as they take the lead 10-9. And they're keeping it going here in the second half, taking advantage of the offsides there by Truck Stop.
What a turn of events, Charlie. Coming out of halftime, Truck Stop was completely in control of this game, and now Ring is leading. I think that offsides really played a big part in what happened on that point. Truck Stop had thrown a couple Huck turnovers. On this point, they were likely going to be looking to play a little more possession-oriented, a little more conservative, but with the disc on the back brick like that, you don't want to turn it on your own end line. Definitely don't want to throw a Callahan. So maybe that led to them being a little more aggressive taking that shot. Kolik, a great handler, not a prototypical downfield receiver, and it led to a turnover that gave Ring the shot to take their break. And you got to credit Ring's D-line here. Their offense off the turn has been spotless for the most part. They've been aggressive. They've been very confident in their decision-making. And Ring's O-line is going to have to do a better job on defense if they continue to make some turnovers. We didn't see much of Ring's O-line D in the first half because of how well their offense had been running. But so far, they've been pretty lethargic here off of turns. And this will give us a great opportunity to see how Truck Stop responds to this sort of, bump in the road. Yesterday against Bravo, they had a lead and it evaporated, ended up costing them the game when Bravo went on a 4-0 run. Ring here is on a 5-1 run, and we'll see if Truck Stop learned any lessons from yesterday and if they can staunch the bleeding here.
Well, it's just been some mental errors from Truck Stop that have opened the door here for Ring. Obviously, the offsides a moment ago, poor decision on a huck. Those few things have added up to Ring erasing a 3-point deficit and turning it into a 1-point lead. Pull goes up from Noah Saul. Johnston catches the pull, gets it ahead to Wiggins. Spiva, nothing downfield. Dishes it back to Johnston. And Johnston throws right into Taylor, who is poaching that lane. An easy catch block. So now a red zone opportunity here for Ring to extend the lead. Saul looks to the dump. Gets it back. It's in the hands of Nethercutt. Nethercutt struggling to find the reset, but gets it out to the sideline for Saul. Mullen to Nethercutt. Nethercutt throwing lots of fakes. And now going to the front cone. And he's got Saul, and Ring makes it an 11-9 game. And what a reversal of fortunes we've seen here in the second half.
Truck Stop looks rattled. I think that Ring came down in a little bit of a poachier look than we've seen for most of the game so far there. Handlers sagging in the lanes a little bit, really disconnecting the handlers from the cutters. Truck Stop's cutting core had been so effective in the first half. Pryal, Spiva when he was downfield, doing a great job of continuing with the disc, getting open. Ring's done a really good job of this half of stopping those in-cuts, making the handlers have to make plays. And so far, Truck's handlers have not been up to snuff in the second half. Some turned hucks, right there, a throw into a poach. And it looks like now Truck Stop's D-line is going to be coming out on offense. See if they have any better luck here. Give the O-line a chance to talk it over, kind of recollect themselves.
We've got 3 more games coming up later today. Right here on ultiworld.com/live. Coming up next, it's a fantastic women's matchup between Seattle Riot and San Francisco Fury. And can't wait to give you some stats about that matchup. Those two teams may have played more than any pair of teams over the past 10 years. And as the top 2 teams in the preseason power rankings, you're not going to want to miss that, so be sure to tune in at 11:15 for that game. And that's 11:15 Eastern. Pull goes out of bounds. It'll be Kolik to bring it to the brick mark with lots of defensive line players, as you pointed out, Pat, out there as the cutters. David Cranston, Ulrico Johnson. So Kolik gets it over to Cranston to start things off. Back to Kolik, who nearly blocked by Ring. But Neely able to get there. And then Peter Pryl catches the under, and he gets his feet chopped out from underneath him and looks a little bit in pain as Justin Allen basically laid out through his back. And to me, that's got to be a TMF or some sort of penalty. You just cannot lay out through the back of somebody's legs. That's what creates injuries, and that should be penalized immediately. And I'm sorry, that was not Allen, that was Shane Sisco on the layout there on the mark against Pryl. Pryl again to Kolik. Kolik high release backhand to the outside. Castine inside backhand and a nice shot into Neely at the front cone. And Truck Stop gets things back going on offense. Nice job by the defensive unit coming in there and making some sharp cuts and getting Truck back out there on defense.
Yeah, Truck Stop did a good job of breaking the mark on that point. Kolik with a pretty fantastic high release that really opened it up and gave the opportunity for Castine to put that nice throw in for a score. Now we're going to see what Truck's D-line has in store here. Ring's offense has looked very solid in the latter part of this game. It came out, again, a little shaky in the beginning, but Truck's D-line hasn't been able to do much. And in general, most of the turnovers from Ring's O-line have been self-inflicted, missing on Hucks, a couple of questionable decisions. So Truck's D-line is going to need to dial something up here to get the energy back.
And to just go back to this point, it bothers me that team misconduct fouls are assessed for swearing or for rushing the field, but then there's no penalty for a hard foul through the back when you land on somebody's legs and risk turning an ankle, tearing an ACL. That makes no sense. And the observer program needs to reassess how they call those misconduct fouls, because for there being more penalties for language than there are for hard contact is just, it's nonsense.
Need to prioritize what is really taking away from the game, what's a risk, and what's something that just incidentally happens.
Noah Saul with the big backhand looking for Lynn, and it's knocked away by Truck Stop.
And that's the D Truck Stop needed.
Rowan with the block there for Truck Stop. Pick up this season for the team. Minor up the sideline to Friend, and he takes the shot deep. Is there enough hang? No, there's not. Ben Feng can't catch up, so Ring will get it back.
That was a nice aggressive look, but just too much edge on that throw. The blade caused that to go straight into the ground.
Throw up the sideline. Now a shot looking for Lynn, but again, see another throw with a little too much on it.
And this is that Ring offense we saw to start the game. That's two aggressive looks they've taken that is not quite the right decision. Truck Stop's defense was very aggressive on that last point. Let's see if they try to play more conservative here, if they keep pushing the pedal to the metal.
Salmi, a nice throw out into space for Schaffner. Right back to Salmi. Salmi steps into a backhand, but this is going to be a hanger, and it's knocked away.
Poor decision there from Truck.
Yeah, really not sure what he saw there. There were two defenders well under that.
That would have had to be a spectacular throw to work out. He had a receiver on the break side deep, but that throw would have had to bend perfectly to the back line.
We have another injury out there. This time it's Ring, but right back to his feet. It's Jarrett Bowen who's coming to the sideline.
Luckily, it looks like he's okay. Just maybe a little bit of a stinger there on his landing. Now Rings O-line gets their third shot of the point at the hold.
And if Truck Stop does indeed go on to lose this game, they'll probably look back at this point as one they wish they could get back. We'll see if Ring can take advantage of another opportunity here.
Justin Allen working very hard downfield to get that in cut.
Dieter, unmarked. To Nethercutt, over to Lynn. Nethercutt with the flick out to the far side, but misses the target.
And this is becoming a big point here. Lots of turnovers, lots of energy being used. One team's going to score this point and feel very good about themselves. The other one is going to feel like they're in trouble.
Castine. Nice find up ahead, Matt Gordon. Another somewhat of a hard foul. No call, though. Schaffner on the sideline. And now Schaffner takes the shot, and again, it goes over the head of the intended receiver, but Matt Gordon is there to clean it up on the backside, and Truck Stop gets the break as they tie the game at 11.
And that was not great offense there from Truck's D-line, but you give them enough shots to put those 50-50 discs up, eventually they're going to come down with one, and that's what we saw there. Ring's offense very aggressive on that point, almost trying to escape it with a quick answer. They're going to need to work a little bit harder here, try to grind a little bit more. We've seen from them this game that when they hit those in cuts, when they can move the disc laterally, they can have tons of success. And that's a timeout. We are tied up at 11s. Another good game, Charlie. It's been a good weekend.
We have had just spectacular games. Gonna try to get you some score updates right now. Lots of games going on around the divisions. Revolver's got a 14-8 lead on Goat. Team Great Britain leads Temper 12-10. Inside Riquete leads Johnny Bravo 12-10. That's interesting. The German team who beat Pony yesterday before getting blown out in their second game now has a lead over Bravo, who went undefeated yesterday. Pony is up 10-7 on Furious George, and Ironside leads Columbia 9-6. In the mixed division, Slow White up on CLX 10-9. Ellipsis up 11-8 on Dragon Thrust. American Barbecue just tied it up with a 3-0 run against Bird, and Wildcard has a 1-point lead, 9-8 over the Polar Bears. Women's division hasn't yet started. They'll begin next round, and you can watch a game. That's Riot versus Fury at 11:15.
Interested to see if that Bravo score holds. That would be quite the upset. The Germans are able to pull that off.
So a big break there for Truck Stop, but it's now Ring in the driver's seat, receiving here as we get into the home stretch of this game. Getting set for the pull here. It'll be Castine with the pull for Truck Stop. Saul to the outside for Allen. Allen ahead, but over the head of his intended target, but Dieter is there. So a lucky break for Ring.
We call it lucky, Ring might call it hustle, but one way or another, they've got the disc.
Teresi. Now with Casey. Throws the wide swing to Nethercutt. Another cut, short scuba, and it's a turnover. And maybe just not quite the right throw there.
That's
too casual, I think.
That's a throw we've seen Nethercutt hit a lot, but I agree. I think it was a little casual, it was a little bit rushed. You can see he didn't really set his feet correctly, but a truck turnover gives Ring another shot.
Nethercutt. Over to Teresi. Back to Saul. Oh, and a miscommunication between Saul and Nethercutt leads to the turnover, so now even better field position for truck stop. Castine picks up, immediately gets to the sideline for Cranston. Cranston doesn't really have anybody downfield yet, but there's Castine. Back to Cranston. And looks like truck stop's gonna take a timeout. Big spot here. Great time to draw up a play. Get a high percentage look into the end zone as they look to retake the lead after having a bit of a meltdown at the beginning of the second half.
And I think if you're truck stop here, you want to get the disc into Nate Castine's hands. Very experienced player, been in some big moments. Not going to be afraid of this one. He's done a great job so far, moving the mark, moving the disc around. In the end zone like this, when you have the disc centered, and all you need to do is complete about, 7-8 yards upfield for a score. The defense has got a tough job if you can move the disc around. I think Castine's the guy to do it for truck stop. If you're Ring, that little miscommunication error there could be huge if it leads to a break.
And some interesting notes about the German team competing here in the men's division. It's the German national team. 13 players on the national team will also play at under 23 Worlds in London.
Wow.
So you can see a youth movement in Germany, and they've held their own here. Had a nice win, outplayed Pony yesterday, and they're looking sharp this morning against Johnny Bravo. And that would obviously be a huge win for them as a foul is called on the dish pass there for truck stop. Cody Johnston out in front of Nethercutt, says he got hit on the arms as he was going to make the catch. Sounds like Nethercutt doesn't necessarily agree. They're talking it out.
And soft cap just went off, so one way or another this game will be played to 14.
So the foul call is upheld by the observer, and Johnston will get rid of it into the hands of Cranston. Comes around, and David Boylan-Colchin gets it into the end zone for Brian Marshall, and truck stop gets the break. It's a 3-0 run, and they're back in front.
It's been a narrative seesaw so far, Charlie. Truck looked unstoppable to start the game. In the second half, Ring came out, went on a 6-1 run, and now truck stop is back in charge after a nice performance here by their D-line. You'll remember it was a lot of their D-line players moving over to offense that got them that first hold to stop the Ring run. And then on the past 2 points, the truck stop defense has risen to the task and gotten breaks. So it was the offense in the first half for Truck that was getting the job done, but it's been their D-line here in the second half that has got them their lead back.
So a game to 14 as the soft cap horn blew during that point. And I think we're in for an exciting finish, Pat.
Oh, absolutely. Ring is really up their intensity here in the second half. You're seeing a lot more layouts, bodies hitting the ground, and I don't think that they're just going to go softly into the good night on this one.
You're going to need to stay sharp on offense. Big pull goes up from Schaffner. Saul catches the first pass, and a foul called as John Nethercutt just ran straight through Ben Feng. And I think just an uncontested foul
Be a little bit of frustration there from Nethercutt.
Saul checks it back into play. Nethercutt's going to have to hurry, but he's not going to get there. So the throw, again, lets down Ring, and Truck has a chance to really take advantage here, but a tipped pass, it's going to hang up, and it's going to be knocked away on the outside. And we may have a foul call here. It was McDonald going for the catch and may have been bumped by Mark Lynn. And I think we're going to have a no contest situation, although now we see the observers. And a card is thrown up against Lynn for the contact. And see, that also makes no sense to me because that was a light contact relative to some of the plays we've seen in this game, which they didn't card. So somewhat inconsistent observing in this game.
It looked to me like more than anything else, Lynn was trying to stop his own momentum on that one. He clearly had two hands in the back of the receiver, but it looked like he was more just trying to stop himself than anything malicious.
And the short throw into the end zone. And Schaffner scores on the throw from McDonald. And Truck Stop adds another break. And after Ring just went on that surge, Truck Stop has answered in a big way. It's a 4-0 run, and they're just a point away from a victory here, and a key victory if they want to make it to the semifinals.
Absolutely key, not just because of semis implications, but also because after yesterday, when they did have that collapse against Bravo, another collapse that cost them a game here today would not have done wonders for their confidence moving into the season. For a team that's really pulling itself together, got some new pieces to incorporate, having confidence in their mission is going to be a big part of motivating them this season. And the fact that they're able to come back from this, prove that they can really play at an elite level, I think that's going to do a lot for them going forwards.
So Ring is going to need a 3-0 run. We've seen it once this game. Can they do it again? They'll have to start here on offense.
And it's just been little miscues these past 2 points for Ring.
Here's the pull from Castine. Big blading backhand, nice pull. Nethercutt catches a centering pass, hits Lynn. Lynn has done a great job as an undercutter. Now he's looking deep, and throw is right on the money. Bowen dishing for Lynn, and Lynn's there. Great play from Mark Lynn on that point as Ring gets the quick score, and they'll get their defense out there to try to tie this game up.
And they've got a shot now. Their D-line has only given up, I believe, 1 hold, maybe 2 holds this entire second half. It's really, most of Truck's scores have come with their defense. So Ring's D-line has been great so far this half. Let's see if they've got 2 more breaks in them. And we've seen a lot of impact young players so far this weekend. Mark Lynn adding his name to the list. Yesterday we saw Tyler Chan and Christian Johnson fitting in wonderfully with their new teams. And so far Lynn has done a great job creating space, getting those in cuts, and has put some impressive throws up as well.
See the Ring defensive line. This is really, obviously if we end up going to double game point, that will feel like the bigger point, but to me, this is the tough one for Ring. Obviously, the game will end if they don't score it, but you almost feel like if you get this one, you're going to get the next one. And so you kind of just obviously take it 1 point at a time, but Ring is so good at piling up the breaks once they start to sense that blood in the water, but this is going to be the one that they have to get, obviously.
We saw it earlier in the first half. Let's see if we see it again here.
Truck Stop looking for the win on offense. Kolick centers to Wiggins. Comes back to Kolick. Handlers working together. Now up the sideline to Doi. Good swing movement from Truck Stop, change the angles. Underneath to Pryal. A tricky throw and a beautiful layout grab from Spiva to save possession. Excellent defense there. But Spiva could make the game-saving play there. And now Pryal looking into the end zone. And Seth Wiggins is in. And that will do it. Truck Stop takes down Ring of Fire 14-12 here in the first round of the day on Friday at the US Open.
Wow, I tell you, Charlie, Ring had their shot on that point. That was a great layout. Spiva just a little bit too athletic, able to make that second effort attempt, keep the disc alive, and give Truck Stop the wing. I think that this game showed that both teams have the potential to really do some great stuff this year. Neither one is there yet. Truck's first half was one of the best halves we've seen all weekend from any team, but clearly in the second half their O-line hit some speed bumps. Ring, very consistent. They play their game and they play it well. Good to see them really come alive in the second half, and I think that's something that they can build off of here, knowing that they're capable of putting up those 6-1 runs even against a team as good as Truck Stop.
And especially considering Ring is missing so many guys this weekend and their coach. It's obviously a tricky situation, but a nice effort against Truck Stop, and Truck Stop's going to have to do a better job of limiting the damage of the other team's runs. That's looking, I mean, we're very early in the season, but they're now showing a bit of a pattern of allowing the other team to go on big 3-4, 5-0 runs against them, and being able to limit the damage when you do give up a break, often such a key for top teams. But they did surge back here after a little bit of a lull at the beginning of the second half to take the win. So final score here in Westchester, Washington, D.C. Truck Stop 14, Raleigh Ring of Fire 12. We'll be back at 11:15 for a fantastic game between Seattle Riot and San Francisco Fury. Hope you'll join us then. Thanks for being with us. For Pat Stegemeller and all of us at Ultiworld, I'm Charlie Eisenhood. We'll see you next.
Every time the pressure rises, we play better. Let's go, take down the field.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.